Hello, my fellow dentists. Today we're going to be talking about overwhelm and how to avoid being overwhelmed in your practice. It doesn't take much, and you know what I mean if you've been there. It should be easier, and I'm telling you there is a way to make it easier, and it's a lot simpler than you think. Stick around. We're going to dig into it now. All right, let's get into it. You know how much there is to running a practice, okay? I've run a practice, you're running a practice, you know what it looks like. There's a million moving parts, and there's very little room for error because we're working on people, right? It's not a car where you're changing parts. So we have to be really accurate, really good at what we do, and that brings a lot of stress on top of managing the team, managing the day-to-day operations, managing, et cetera, right? There's 1,000 things on our list, and we know what that looks like. Now, if you have felt like you just can't seem to get ahead of your to-do list, and there's just always one more thing on your list, and it just, you scratch one off and 3 more get added and multiply on the list, right? And you just can't seem to get things accomplished, can't seem to get things moving forward, there is a strategy. There is a way to do this, and I'm going to show you right now. The first thing I want you to think about is to think in quarters, work in quarters. There are 4 quarters in a year, you're going to work in quarters, 90-day segments, 90-day sprints through the year. That's how I want you to organize your thinking, okay? Because if you do it this way, you're not going to have anxiety about the things that aren't getting done, okay? The first thing I want you to do is to dump your brain of all the ideas, and probably if you're like me, all the sticky notes that were on your desk, all the notes that you got everywhere, all the undone to-do things that are burning mental real estate onto a document. So take a Google Doc, a Word document, whatever platform you like, and I want you to just literally bullet point the whole list, everything. Put it all on there. Don't worry about order just yet, just put it all on the list. Because if you're holding on to things, you're trying to remember, that is a burning brain energy. Look up the Zeigarnik effect if you want to understand what that looks like. But if you're holding on to something, you're trying to remember what to do, you're spending far more energy than if you would just write it down and then it's gone out of your brain. Because otherwise your brain is trying to always remember and keep this thing in volley, and you're using CPU power, if I can use that analogy of a computer, to keep something in memory that doesn't need to be there, okay? So take it all, put it on a document, and then what I want you to do is go through the whole list. What's the most important 5 things on that list, okay? So start with that. You might have 20 things on your list to start with, but I'm going to suggest you go to the top 5. Okay? Think Pareto principle, 80-20, right? There's 100 things on your list, 20 of them probably matter, the rest don't. Or they're the 20 that create 80% of the result. That's what I want you to do with your list. So I'm saying take your list, order just the top 5 in order. And then what I want you to do is I want you to look at that top 5. And I want you to say, okay, of this, which is the top 2? Okay? You probably can figure that out pretty quickly as well. From that, now you've taken your list of whatever down to 2. Those are the things you work on first, okay? Now, when you sit down on your day, it's probably Friday or one other day in the week when you're not in the clinic or not in the clinic full day, that you sit down and you work on your practice, that is the day that I want you to start with that thing that was most important first. If there's 2 things, pick one to go first. That's what you work on. And you work on that until you get it done. Now, if there's multiple steps and it's multiple days because it's just going to take time, then get as far as you can get, and then you switch to the other task. But do nothing else until you at least knock out that work session on that one thing, okay? Because what's going to happen is you're going to see very quickly that if you're always working on the one thing, the most important thing that needs to get done, every time you sit down and work on your business, and even if you dedicate just half of your time to making sure that one thing gets moved forward, you will have done so many important things over the course of a year, it's going to blow your mind, right? And so when you have a whole list of things, you think, well, when am I going to get these done? Think in 90-day sprints. For the next 90 days, I've got these 5 things that I thought were most important. I'm going to pick the first 2, I'm going to work on those. If you really focus on those 2 items, starting with whatever one you pick to go first, what's going to end up happening is in far less time than you ever imagined, you're going to be done those two things. And you'll be able to add the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And probably within that 90-day stretch, you've killed those 5 items. And then you know what? You don't worry about anything past the first quarter. When the next quarter rolls around, you go to your list again and you say, okay, what's the most important next 5 things on my list? And you've probably added a bunch of stuff during the time. And here's what I want you to do is try to stay during that 90 days on just the things that you deemed most important first. Don't add more things and bump them. Try to stick to what's already determined to be most important. Because otherwise what ends up happening is you're always reordering your list, reshuffling the deck, and you're never actually getting the thing done that needs to get done. Now, if something comes along that is critical, like absolutely you got to do it, then okay, you need to bump your list, fine. But the key principle in all of this is you might have 50 things on your to-do list, and I'm suggesting to you there is no other way to get this done where there is actually movement of the needle here unless you sit down to work on one thing every day that you have a work block, okay? Most important thing you can do. Now, if you have 6 hours, you have 8 hours, you have like a full Friday, let's say as an example, before you check email, before you do anything else, before you even like open lab cases or whatever, I want you to work on your one thing for at least half of that time. And now when I'm saying work on it, I'm not talking about like pick at it while being interrupted. Turn off your phone or put it on do not disturb so that only emergencies get through, only like your family gets through or whatever, like something critical. Turn off notifications on your desktop, turn off like everything. Be somewhere ideally where people can't just come and like knock on your door and come in. Like literally work on this thing like you mean it, like you need to get it done, and you will get it done. Force yourself to be efficient with your time. And when you sit down, like you're gonna need to take breaks. I understand not everyone can work for 3 straight hours. But if you have 3 hours of a work block, work for an hour, work for 40 minutes, as much as you physically can, mentally can handle, then take a break for 5 minutes, stretch, get up, walk around, get some water, sit down and get it done again. And do that until your work time is up. And if you need to, get a timer, get something to like prompt you. I've got here on my desk, I've got this like physical little timer that I use. And it literally is just a timer. That's all its function is. I don't use anything else to time. Why? Because if I start using my phone, I'll be tempted to check my phone. And once you start down that rabbit hole, then well, okay, better check my email just to make sure, oh, there's a text message from this person, might be important. Just focus. You will get stuff done at a level that you can understand if you've never done it this way before. Literally nothing breaks your focus until you get the thing done, okay? Now, another thing about your list is when you're ordering your list and you're picking your top 5 or even the top thing that you're going to work on, a way I want you to think about that thing is, okay, let's say this top thing that I have determined, this is the thing I'm going to sit down and work on today. The first thing I'm going to do when I look at this task is I'm going to break it down into what do I personally need to do? How much of this can I delegate to someone else effectively enough? Understanding that they may not do it exactly the way I would do it, but if they do it 80% as good as I can do it, and there are ways to delegate so you can get even better than 80%, but if they can get at least 80% of the way there of what I had in my mind, then I'm really happy with that because I didn't have to do it. And that now expedites your efficiency dramatically. So having a really good delegation process is critical. I had an executive assistant I've had for years. I always have someone that I can delegate to. Now we have a whole team of people. And even when I was in practice, I had a team of people. If I needed to create something, there were people that I can give, okay, I need this thing designed, I need this done, I need that done, run here, run there, do this, do that. That is the way you get stuff done. Now, in dental practice, you have a couple of team members that probably have a little excess time. They may have, someone that they know that can function as an executive assistant for you. You may think, well, I need an assistant. It doesn't make any sense. If you think about the value of your time, what is your time worth? What is your sanity worth? And we're going to get into this next, right? Your time as a dentist, chairside should be at least $8.50 an hour or more, okay? If you're not at least $8.50 an hour or more, you are underproducing. And this is just statistically across the board, okay? So At $8.50 an hour, I start to do some math and think, well, when does it become worth it for me to do this task versus that task or whatever? If I have this top thing that I can do, my job is to be the quarterback of the task and break it up into parts so that I'm doing the thing that I need to do, but then I can use my team to get the work done as fast as possible rather than me trying to take on every piece. This is where we have a problem with business owners who don't want to delegate or don't feel like they can delegate or feel like everyone is stupid around them and can't be delegated to. That is a problem in how you're delegating. That's a story for another time, okay? But there are people, how do I know this? Because we find them all the time, right? I've had someone for better part of 15 years. I've had people now, and I can find someone tomorrow that can do this kind of thing. Right? You take your task, you break it up. Here's what I need to do out of this, and here's what other people can do. Okay? And then you get it done in way less time. So that now in a quarter, you're going to be able to get done those 5 things, like no problem. And you might have even some free time. Imagine that. Right? Now, value of your time. You have some things on your list that you're holding on to that need to go. So if we look at your time, let's look at your time schedule like this. You will have $1,000 per hour items on your list. You will have $100 items on your list. You will have, I don't know, let's say just less than $50 per hour items on your list. And your job is to look at this and say, okay, well, why would I be doing $50 per hour tasks when I can be working on $1,000 per hour tasks? And we end up doing this. And if you're not paying attention, this is what happens. Take a list of tasks that you do, especially on a work day, or working on your business day, an admin day, or whatever you call it, right? That day that you have to work on your practice where the other 3-4 days of the week you're treating patients. Now, treating patients is a $1,000 an hour activity. It should be. So when you're doing that, you're doing nothing else. That's what you're doing. Your job is to focus on treating patients. Everything else should be handled by team. You should not be being bothered during the day with $50 per hour tasks when you're treating patients. And I'll tell you, the day that I hit the peak of my frustration in my version 1.0 of my practice life was when I counted 13 times I was interrupted during patient flow for questions that I had already answered previously. Team member, oh, doctor, can I talk to you? Well, okay, what do you need? Well, whatever it is. Like, I have answered this already. I don't understand why I have to keep telling every single person the same things over and over again. This is a problem with your team, with your leadership, with a whole ton of things that get sorted out in a workshop we call team-driven practice. Leave that aside for now. I just want you to understand that when you're doing $1,000 an hour activities, your productivity is where it needs to be. If you are stopping that to do $50 per hour activities, you are wasting your time. And you have other people that are not being utilized. Now, I'm suggesting that on your admin day, the day that you work on the office or days, that you also be focused on the highest value activities. If you are doing $50 per hour or less activities, then you are also wasting your time. If you are doing Costco runs, if you are buying stuff for the office, if you are, and you know what I mean, we've all done it, I've done it too, okay? If you are doing some of those tasks that you're like, I don't know why I have to do this, there should be some other way, it should be easier, there should be a person for this, there is. It's just a function of delegation and you being intentional about it. The problem is we don't act as humans until there's enough pain involved in the system for us to say, I can't take it anymore, I need to make a change. Otherwise, what ends up happening is we become okay with, this is just how it is, this is how it's always been. It's fine, I'll just do it. And I'm suggesting to you, no, stop doing that. Teach your team, lead your team, put systems and processes in place to get stuff done so that everything on your desk for the day, whether you're treating patients or you're working on the practice, is only what you need to do of that. Now, this is going to require you to level up as a leader, level up in how you delegate, train your team, and give them the room to run, build enough trust so that they will not be okay with not finishing a thing that they said that they would do, all the things that come with being a good leader, and then you will be able to do this well. You take the tasks and you break up your tasks, looking at what do I need to do, what can they do, and you parse out those pieces, okay? And delegating it properly means that they should be able to see in their minds the picture you have in your mind of what this looks like when it's done right. And you need to paint that picture for them. It's critical that you do it, or you're not delegating. Not well anyway, okay? Now, I'm going to suggest to you take a list of the things that you do on a typical dental practice treating patients day, a production day, and also take a list of the things you typically do on an admin day or a working on the practice day, and look at that list of activities. What of it should be yours? What of it shouldn't be yours? And even if you don't have a solution for it today, just be clear about, here's what I should be doing, here's what I should not be doing. Because once you start looking for the solution, you will find it, okay? This is how you start to break free from overwhelm. How you start to break that cycle of, I've got so much to do, people keep adding more to my list, it keeps growing and growing, and I feel like every time I check something off, I've got no further because in fact I checked one thing off and I've added 5 more, and I'm tired and I'm stressed out and I don't have enough time for my personal life, etc., etc., etc. How do I know? Been there. The only way you're going to fix that is by getting smart about how you use your time. Hope you found this helpful. If you have questions, comments, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to see what you think. Be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, we will see you in the next video.